All right, welcome everybody. My name is Sharanda Smith. I am an Optavia certified health coach. I am the owner of Trailblazers Health and Wealth, and I want to welcome you to our March mocktail. Welcome to March. We are excited to kick off our 21-day March dry challenge. We're also kicking off our March Madness series for our health coaching. We are going to be offering lots of different things for the month of March. Today, we're going to be talking about the first event, eliminating and reducing alcohol in your lifestyle. I am very excited to be joined today as co-host and presenters Terry Garcioso and also Shannon Tate. We're going to introduce them a little bit more later. They can talk a little bit about, they're going to tell a little bit about their stories and also their backgrounds when they come on for their presentation. But we wanted to get together to host this event because we know from our own personal experiences and just our training and talking to so many people that for some people this topic is a struggle, and we wanted to provide some more information to show folks that one, they're not alone in it. There are a lot of us who it's not necessarily an easy thing to kind of reduce or eliminate alcohol, and also some strategies for doing so, and then some resources if that is useful to you. Just to provide some context. And this is coming from, we teach from a program, Optavia, which was founded by a critically care board certified and critical care doctor, Dr. Wayne Anderson. So the things that we teach come from the principles and the science that he has pulled together. And one of the things that he talks a lot about is that, alcohol isn't a nutrient. Because it doesn't provide any nutrition per se. It plays a role in managing and not managing our weight. Not only is alcohol high in calories, but it lowers our inhibitions, and sometimes that leads us to overeating or eating unhealthy things or other unhealthy behaviors. So when people are in our program who are in the weight loss phase, which we call, a weight loss phase where we're trying to get our bodies into a state of fat burn, we actually require that people don't drink alcohol during that stage. And once you hit your healthy goal weight and you enter into another stage, you can bring back alcohol into your diet with moderation. But when you're in trying to lose weight, alcohol can really be an inhibitor to you. So we also wanted to talk about that. It can also, it can drain your energy. Maybe not while you're doing it, but like the next day, it can kind of take away from your energy and ability to control your emotions. So we want to help people to, if they choose to drink responsibly. For the rest of the March, just to give you some context of some of the things that we're going to be doing, we're going to have different events coming up. They're all they're free events. Our current clients, past clients, people who are interested in our program, or just like you're just interested in having a healthy lifestyle. The topics that we're going to have can be good for you. We're going to have the first Thursday, next Thursday. We've been doing this since the beginning of the year. We have our Debbie Asmus, who is also an Optavia health coach, but she's a certified yoga instructor, and she has 20 plus, she might even have 30 years of experience teaching yoga. She does a first Thursday yoga. It's going to be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. She does that for us every Thursday, first Thursday of the month. It's a great class, so we encourage you to join that. We're also having on March the 14th, which is also a Thursday, it's going to be a 30-minute cooking demonstration on how to make quick and easy healthy meals. On our program, we call them lean and greens, but 30 minutes, like quick meals that you can make. Carolyn Reynolds is going to lead us in that, and also Joy Avini. So we're hoping that we can give you like 3 different meal ideas of quick things to make. So join us for that. And then at the end of the month, on Thursday, March the 28th, we're going to have a session on focusing on building muscle and bone strength, because as we age, we start to decrease and lose that. And so there are some ways that we can help to manage that and to help us to stay strong with our muscle building in our bones as we grow older. So for the day, how it's going to work, I'm going to lead us through making a mocktail. And then as we enjoy our little concoction, then I'm going to hand it over to Terry. She's going to share her story. And then Terry's going to hand it back to me. I'm going to share my story. And then I'm going to hand it over to Shannon, who's going to give a personal story. And also, Shannon has a professional experience working with substance abuse, and she's going to share some statistics and some resources. And then we're going to hand it back to Terry again, because we need some strategies for ourselves at home, when we're hanging out with our friends, our buddies, and also when we celebrate. Like, how are some ways that we can kind of manage alcohol, reduce it or eliminate it when we're in those settings? So I'm going to get us started with our mocktail. So hopefully some of you have your ingredients. And there's like different ways that you can do this. So I have some ice here. And I'm just going to take my ice. I got my mixer. And I'm going to put it into my little mixer. Now, you guys might have your lime. I don't know if some people like lime, some people don't. You can do lemon if you choose. I got my lemon here, but I'm doing lime today because we got a green theme going on for March, and thinking about, St. Patty's Day coming up. I've already squeezed a little of my lime juice into this already. So if you want to squeeze yours, and then I'm going to take my lime juice and I'm going to pour it into my ice. Not a lot there. And then I'm going to have some mint sprigs here. I'm going to put that in there. And you can use, I have sparkling water. Sparkling water has become like a huge tool for me. I love it because it feels like I'm drinking something fancy. And I always use a fancy glass for my drinks. So that's one thing. But you can use all different types. So there are some that are flavored. Just try to look for the ones that don't really have a lot of sugar or things like that. Lots of different options with it. I'm going to fill my little shaker up here. Put it in. Sounds so good. And then I have now there are lots of options for these little flavorful things. So Crystal Light is like kind of a go-to for me. I like it because you can have so many different flavors. So people have we kind of chatted beforehand, and some people have cherry pomegranate. We have different types of flavors. I have this fruit punch one here. There's so many different flavors for the Crystal Light. We also have like our Optavia infusers, and Terry's drink has that. She's using that. It's a little lighter than the Crystal Light. You can also use that. And I've never actually I haven't even opened this one, but you can get other kind of brands too that are in the grocery store, like different types of infusers. So you can have lots of different options there. Now, when you're putting your Crystal Light or whatever infuser or like mix here, flavorful mix, one thing I've noticed, you got to be careful with these things not to put too much, because it'll really just kind of overwhelm the drink. So I'm going to use this, and you got to do this based on your own kind of taste. So you might have to just kind of like figure it out a little bit, right? Because I don't have exact measurements. A lot of these things depend on taste. But this is like a half a teaspoon that I have here. And I'm just going to look at it based on like color. And I'm going to put 3 in. I think that might be enough for me. I'm just going, because I'm going to shake it up. So I'm going to put 3 half teaspoons. So that'll end up being 1.5 teaspoons in for that. And then I think that's all the things that I need for it. I'm going to shake it up. Be careful. And then I'm going to put it in my fancy glass, because I want it in a fancy glass. And then I'm going to I like to decorate it too. So, and I do this with my water as well. So I'm just going to put my little lime here, and cheers. You got a mocktail. See how easy that is? Very easy. When I was looking for a recipe, I found all these different kinds of more complicated recipes. I was like, I wouldn't do that, so I'm not going to even try to go there. But I did see some people have like rum extract. I've never tried it before, but those are some options too. But I just tried to keep it simple, because this is what I usually do. This is the kind of drink that I have. So cheers. This is my mocktail. And now I'm going to hand it over to Terry.
Thanks, Sharanda. Well, I will start out like I have been starting out for the last 10 years. My name is Terry, and I'm an alcoholic. My name is Terry Graziosa. I'm also a certified Optavia coach as well. I had my first drink when I was 15 years old, and I liked it, and I never stopped. I have had 2 children. I did stop through my pregnancies, but I soon picked it up quite quickly after. I was looking to fit in, in high school. I was looking to fit in. That carried over for the decades of fitting in. I was trying to avoid being socially awkward. That carried over into the decades. This pattern continued for years until it all turned into escape and numbing myself. Sorry, I tend to get a little emotional when I talk about this, so excuse me for that. It wasn't until I reached out for help at the age of 47, that was 32 years after I picked up that first Michelob when I was 15. And it wasn't until I reached out for help that I realized, well, not then and there. It wasn't until I reached out for help and I went to not my first AA meeting, not my second AA meeting, but my third AA meeting. My first 2 didn't take, as I say. I didn't work it. I wasn't ready. But that third one, I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. As I worked the program, I did realize what it was that I was escaping and what I was numbing from. I was in an unhappy marriage, and I drank a lot, even with two smaller children. I learned how to navigate that. I learned how to hide it very well. I separated, and I quickly jumped into another relationship. I was looking for love. I was trying to fill this void and these holes that I had. I didn't know it at the time. And then I started drinking alone. It was morning, noon, and night. I hid it very well. When I finally had told friends and family that I was in a program to get sober, they were actually very shocked. They were surprised. They didn't realize I had a problem. And I said, aha, we alcoholics can hide that very, very well. And I did. But I was very unhappy. So, without going into that very last ugly day, if you would like to hear that story, I'm more than happy to tell you about it. Reach out to me and I can share that with you. But I finally, after, days of drinking, like I said, from morning, noon to night, calling a client, I was a hairdresser at the time, and calling a client and telling her that I needed a mental health day, when in fact I was actually at a bar in the middle of the day after grocery shopping. And I called the hotline, AA hotline. Within 2 hours, a woman came to pick me up. Her name is Kay. We're still friends today. And I call her my angel because she came and she picked me up at my house and she took me to this AA meeting. And there's something that we read in every meeting that says, if you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, that's in the big book. And I thought, when I was listening to these people speak who have had, 2 days of sobriety under their belt, right all the way up to 40 years of sobriety. They looked so happy. I wanted what they had. And I kept hearing these little things keep coming back. One day at a time, you can do this. I couldn't do it alone. And that's what I'm here to say, is that, reach out for support. And that is what I did. And I thank God to this day that I kept going. I had 2 little girls that were depending on me. I did not get sober for my girls. I got sober for me, and you have to do that for you. Each person has to decide for themselves. I got sober so that I could be a better mother. I got sober so that I could be a better ex-wife. I got sober so I could be a better sister, a better friend, a better daughter. And I kept going back. I kept that support, and I'm happy to say that I've helped others, and it is my passion. My sobriety is my passion, and if you are struggling, please do reach out for help, because I tell you, I wanted what those people have, and I have it. I'm blessed and I'm grateful. So thank you, Sharanda. I'll turn it back to you. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank you so much, Terry, for being so vulnerable and also for being so powerful and making a decision. And my story, Terry is a part of my story because she shares, I haven't heard the full story. So this is my first time really hearing your full story, but I watched Terry in sobriety because we've been hanging out together in lots of different settings for the last 4 years. So she really helped me that I make a decision about that I wouldn't drink ever again. But just to tell you a little bit about my story, so my story starts with like my health journey with Optavia, because which started in October 2019, which is over 4 years ago now. It's kind of surprising that it's been 4 years. But at age 45, I needed to lose 80 pounds because I was morbidly obese and I was pre-diabetic. After seeing a friend be successful and I saw her guiding other people, I decided to join the program, but it took several months before I could commit. So I talked to my friend back in February about the program, but I didn't start until October. And one of the reasons why I didn't want to do the program is because I knew I had to give up alcohol. And that was challenging for me. I didn't want to give up alcohol. So it took me a while. And what happened in October was I had my annual physical with my primary care physician. And at 45 and in the state that I was in, I was pretty close to being diabetic. And she's like, you have to make some massive changes if you want a different trajectory for yourself. So I was like, you know what? Let me just try it out. Let me just do it. So my drinking at that stage was like Friday nights. I'm a Friday night, Saturday night drinker type girl. And it was kind of like after the week is all over, running the kids around, after all of that, it was kind of like, you get home, it's like, 8:30, 9 o'clock, trying to unwind. And I was a wine drinker, and I was a wine connoisseur. I was very proud of my wine knowledge because I'm like know so much about wine, which really started when I was in college. So I started drinking in college before I was 21. And I worked in a restaurant. I worked in the restaurant industry after I was going to school during the day. I was working, I would be like a cocktail waitress, and I was a waitress. I was like a hostess in the restaurant industry in Washington, D.C. And the restaurant industry is like, after you get off from work, you go and hang out with your coworkers, and you just hang out. You go to a bar, you go and hang out with other restaurant kind of people. So I drank heavily when I was in college, but I come from, sometimes we have to acknowledge this too. Like I come from an alcoholic family. There are many people in my family who are alcoholics, men and women. So it's not gender. There's no gender with this. My grandfather, who I lived with the first 9 years of my life, he really struggled with alcoholism. He had to be forced into treatment several times by court and like the justice system, because he would drive drunk and things like that. So I saw my grandfather struggle. I saw aunts and uncles. Some of them still struggle today with it. But that's kind of how it started. And then when I got to college, being on my own, being in this kind of like restaurant kind of industry, things like that. Then my friends I would hang out with, we were party people. We'd go all the different parties. We were always like drinking all the time. And then I didn't really stop drinking until I came into like my 30s. And then I was ready to I had gotten married. I was ready to have children. So during my 2 pregnancies, I stopped drinking. When I was pregnant, and I nursed my children for several months after I had them. and they were born within a two-year period of each other. So during that period, I would, when I was nursing them, I started back drinking after pregnancy, but I would drink a lot less. I never really kind of returned to what I was doing like in my 20s and things like that. But I would pump and dump. Um, and I was doing that. um, and then, just kind of like more like a weekend drinker. But what I found was like I could go through a bottle, or like not even like a small bottle, like one of those big, we used to drink like Yellowtail. I don't even know if that's still around, but one of those kind of like big bottles on the weekends. And it was very difficult for me to kind of, stop at one, and that would lead to other bad behavior and, other bad habits. And then over the course of 20 years, what happens, the obesity was kind of a result of all of that, like the drinking and the overeating and all of that, kind of a combination of it all. And so it like kind of was like a buildup over 20 years. It was like 10 pounds each year kind of thing, happening to me. And once I started Optavia, it was like my first time really in adult life where I stopped drinking. It was kind of like, oh, okay. So I ended up losing 80 pounds in Optavia. It took me like 8 months. So for that whole period, I wasn't drinking. And for me, it was during the pandemic. I started Optavia in October 2019. We were in shutdown in March 2022. So for, a couple more months during the pandemic, I wasn't drinking at all. And then I hit my goal weight, and then transitioning into just trying to have like a regular kind of lifestyle. People started coming back together again. We were excited that we weren't all shut up, and we, kind of starting to see each other. And then your environment is really important. The people that you hang out with, the kind of, the things that you do together. A lot of things that I used to do with my friends did revolve around drinking at first. And I was very afraid to start drinking again because one, um, I didn't want to return to what I was. I had worked so hard, and I was feeling so good. I was like, I felt finer than wine. I was like feeling myself. And then, just kind of like trying to get back into like a regular life with, with the pandemic was like on and off for a while, right? We were out, then we were in, then we were out and in. But I ended up having to make a lot of changes with my environment, my home environment, and a lot of the people that I would hang out with. And I, stopped drinking. I would stop drinking again. But then I would do these challenges with our coaching community. We always do these challenges. One of the reasons why I wanted to do a um, a 31-day challenge, because one, people like challenges, I think, but also for me, the challenges were really helpful to me because I wouldn't drink during the challenges. We would have like, okay, we would do, we would exercise every day. We would, not drink alcohol. We drink like 80 ounces of water, different things that we would do. But as soon as the challenge was over, what I was finding was that I would, I might go back to drinking. And it was very like sporadic. It wasn't like it was like beforehand, but it could, it might be months I would go without drinking. But whenever I did drink, I didn't know how to stop at one. So, and I had a very hard time controlling my emotions. Let me just mute right here real quick. And I had a hard time controlling my emotions when I drank. Um, and I got to the point where I was just like, I'm just tired of this. I don't want this. I don't want my kids to see me drunk. I don't want them to be in a house with drinkers. And I was just like, I think I'm ready to just say, and I was hanging out with Terry. I was seeing Terry a lot. She would talk about her sobriety. She was very open and transparent about it. That helped encourage me. I also, started dating a person who didn't drink. That was really important. I was kind of hanging around different people where it wasn't like something we did. We were, we were mainly like hang out and go exercise or different things like that. Like drinking wasn't involved. So I liked that life. And the last drink that I had was November 2022. And I committed myself to completely giving up alcohol. One, to be true to this healthy lifestyle that I really want. And also, sorry, true to this lifestyle that I really, really want. But also, you know, when you publicly declare something, like you're really putting yourself out there, it adds a layer of accountability and leverage for yourself to stay true to your commitment to yourself. And I decided to, with Jeanette is on, she was encouraging me to share this part of my story, which I was like reluctant to share because, like Terry is saying, it's not something I really wanted to let people know about. You know, it's a very vulnerable space. But I was like, you know what? Somebody needs to hear my story because maybe they need some help. Maybe my story can help somebody else, just like Terry's story helped me. So that's my story, and thank you for letting me share. And now I'm going to hand it over to Shannon.
Thank you, Sharanda, and thank you for being brave enough to tell your story. And Terry, thank you for sharing your sobriety story as well. I think as women, we are always taught to focus on being strong and not letting anybody see us sweat and being able to hold it together for everyone. And we push ourselves to the back burner, and this is how we end up in situations where alcohol becomes a safe haven for us. But I am here to tell you a little bit about myself and then provide some resources, some statistics that will help us make that decision. And Shireen, I'm also very glad that you talked about reduction and elimination because everybody's goal is not to eliminate. But I am going to give you some information here that may help you make a decision on where you are in that journey for yourself. So a little bit about me. Again, my name is Shannon Tate, and I am a life coach. And I have my own consulting business called Deep Roots Consulting, and I focus on executive and professional coaching and focusing on mostly women in their 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s that are trying to just figure out life and figure out major transitions. And I am also by profession a public health analyst, and I work for a substance abuse and mental health organization. So I was excited when Sharanda asked me to come, not only because of the work that I do, but because of my own personal journey. But before we do that, we're talking about drinks and how much we drank and how many big bottles, little bottles. But I want to just throw a question out to the group, and you could put your answers in the chat if you know these answers. The question is, what is a standard drink? What is a standard drink? And so I'm going to give you an example. If you were thinking about beer, wine, or alcohol, what do you think a drink is? So put whatever you think the answer is in the chat. Okay, somebody said 5 ounces of wine. Somebody said 6 ounces, question mark, question mark. 1 shot or 5 ounces. Okay, those are some really good answers. And this is where we as women sometimes go wrong because what we find is it's not one size fits all. It's not one bottle of wine as a standard drink. But the way that we work in society, it really goes in the opposite direction. So here we go. So for beer, one 12-ounce beer is considered a standard drink, and that has 5% alcohol in it. 1 5-ounce glass of wine. And the average wine, you know, some wines are getting up there, have about 12% alcohol. And I don't know about you, in my majorly drinking days, I never had 1 5-ounce glass of wine. Like, who does that? That's not even a real thing. And then 1 5-ounce shot of liquor, which has 40 ounces of alcohol. 40% alcohol in 1 shot. And I know those nights where I was drinking wine, having 2 or 3 shots of tequila, eating wings, eating nachos, it was all going together. And what was happening for me in my lifetime, and I don't know what was going on in 2019, Sharanda, because I was in the same spot as you were. It was one of these nights where I was hanging out with 2 friends from church, ironically. We became trauma junkies together from church, and we would go out every Tuesday to hula hands for half off bottle night. So we're eating wings, we're drinking every bottle that we could drink. And it just got to a point where I ended up having major pain in my side. And I was doing a presentation similar to this. I was sitting on a panel and I got such excruciating pain in my side that I had to be rushed to the hospital. And what I found out was that the over drinking that I was doing caused me to have liver trouble. And my girlfriends were just worried about me. I ended up being hospitalized for 10 days up in Johns Hopkins because of this liver issue. And they really talked about, you know, you either could have liver disease or it could be nothing. So we really feel like if you're not going to quit drinking, you got to reduce it significantly. Well, my other girlfriend, who was part of our trio of drinking every week, a couple months later, ended up with the same type of liver situation and ended up in the hospital herself. And I was like, oh, you'll be able to get over it. I got through it. And her situation kept getting worse and worse. She would keep alcohol in her car. She kept alcohol everywhere and ended up from a diagnosis of liver disease, ended up dying 4 months later at 48 years old from liver disease, this was an engineer, bright woman, great family, but struggled like all of us are talking about, horrible marriage. She was miserable in her marriage, but had a 10-year-old son and ended up passing away and had to just have her husband there for the son. So it really helped me to really put this in perspective that alcohol and fun were not necessarily a real situation and didn't go hand in hand. And then we roll into the pandemic. And what we find for the first time, according to some statistics that I found with NIH, the National Institute of Health, is that people were drinking more than ever. You either got really healthy or you really started drinking to the ridiculous point. And for the first time in history, women started drinking more than men. And that was something that I didn't realize. But every single woman that I knew was like, if they went outside, they weren't even going to eat. They were going to Total Wine, grabbing cases of wine because you weren't going out that often. So they were in this house making cocktails. And then, you know, people are finding Zoom videos, TikTok videos, other things that you were doing where you were drinking a lot more. And what we were finding, like I was just giving you the statistics on a standard drink, is that most people were binge drinking. And do you know what binge drinking is really considered? If you do, put what you think binge drinking is in the chat. Let's see if anybody has anything pop up. Till you pass out. I like that, Terry. That's definitely one form of binge drinking. Drinking until you go to sleep. And Carolyn, thank you for drinks in an hour. Yep, like that. And what it really is 4 or more drinks consumed within a 2-hour period. We were doing that with ease. It depends. Yeah, it does depend, but it depends on our bodies because women don't metabolize alcohol the way men do. So if you're out with some of your male friends, I know we have a male friend on this call today. If we try to drink like Dr. Davis, we will definitely pass out or definitely end up in a situation where we may black out. And I don't think a lot of women realize that because society really sets us up to binge drink. You have bottomless mimosas. You have wine down Wednesdays. We have all of these things that we're doing that will really promote over drinking. Yes, and they started delivering alcohol to your house. You don't even have to go outside to drink anymore. And people were drinking, and the reason that we were seeing women drinking more than men is because we were coping with stress differently than they would. Increased social drinking, because like you said, everybody's like the we're back outside society. Everybody's outside again. So even post-pandemic, we see the big situation where women are drinking more. And the fact that alcohol was considered a necessity during COVID. Yes, thank you, Shelley. That is very true. It went with everything we were doing. It was a big social media push that it seemed like, oh, I need wine. I need more wine. That's what we were seeing in every meme, every GIF, everything that we saw. And so the effects of alcohol, sadly, on women are something that we need to consider as you're deciding if you are eliminating or severely reducing the amount of alcohol that you drink. So I'm going to talk about 7 reasons not to drink. So the first one is you sleep better. So somebody put in the chat, you're drinking till you pass out. Passing out is not good sleep. And I think people feel like, oh, I'm going to just drink a glass of wine or two so I can go to bed. And that is actually a myth. Drinking before bedtime does not promote sleep. Yes, and you're up till 2 o'clock in the morning because you think you're doing something to help you relax and go to sleep when you're really not. And I don't know about you, I am 52, and women of a certain age already struggle with sleeping. And so to add alcohol to an already disrupted sleep pattern is not something that will be really helpful for women. You talked about in this group, in your healthy weight loss group, that it could help you lose weight. That is another reason not to drink. We don't realize how many calories are in wine. And I think doctors over the decades used to promote red wine because red wine was heart healthy. But there's always a little asterisk at the bottom of that. It's heart healthy, sure, if you already are in a position where you were drinking all along. If you've never had a drink, adding red wine to your diet to protect your heart is not a good thing to do. So people always get those things mixed up as well. It'll save you money. Those half bottle nights that we were having at Houlihan's every single Tuesday and all the food we were eating, I probably saved enough for college tuition if I looked at how much we were drinking and eating back then. So put some money back in your pocket. You'll definitely be appreciating that this spring and summer. Save your organs is another reason not to drink. As I just told you, my friend passing away from liver disease, me struggling with liver challenges back in 2019. And even if I drink now, I could definitely tell my body feels it. And so your kidney and liver will thank you. Your pancreas will thank you. All of these things that are trying to metabolize the alcohol. And again, women struggle the most with these issues, and we damage our organs much faster than men do. Another reason to not drink is it lowers your risk for cancer and brain function. People that struggle with dementia, Alzheimer's, if you are not drinking, it reduces your chances of getting Alzheimer's and dementia. It reduces the risk for breast cancer, ovarian cancer, and other cancers that are really prone for women. Another reason to not drink would be it affects hormones for women of a certain age. Like you talked about mood swings, you talked about how you were feeling when you were drinking, and it really does create an imbalance with our already all over the place hormones. And the last issue, and the issue that I remember when I struggle with, am I going to quit altogether or am I going to really just reduce what I'm drinking, is your body doesn't lie. Like again, Terry was talking about being in her teens. I don't know what it is with us New England girls, Terry. I probably started drinking about 14 myself. We're bored, small town, it's not much to do 10 minutes from New Hampshire. So I think for us, it was definitely Budweiser. I'm an 80s kid, so that's what it was. Budweiser and peach schnapps. What a great combination for teenagers, okay? And so with stomach issues, the amount of sugar that's in alcohol, the extended hangovers, those are other things that are extremely worse for women to go through when it comes to alcohol. And so I'm hoping these 7 areas, sleeping better, losing weight, saving money, saving your organs, lowering your risk for cancer, effects on your hormones, and that your body is telling you to cut it out, are 7 good reasons for women to reduce or eliminate alcohol. And so for my time, I want to just leave some resources for you, and I'm going to put them in the chat. So for those of you that are feeling like you or anyone in your family or your friends that may be struggling, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration has a helpline, and the helpline is 1-800-662-HELP. And I'm going to put that in the chat right now so you could see that. And that is a 24-hour a day, 7-day a week resource for anyone to get referred to treatment if they have an issue with alcohol or other substances that they may need to get support for. The next thing with some of the little games that I played with you today, there's a fact sheet that NIAAA has. It's the National Institute of Alcohol Association, and that's a part of the National Institute of Health. They have a fact sheet that might be able to help some of you get a little more information. Since I didn't have a lot of time to go into everything, you know, I get really passionate about this subject. So I'm going to put the link to the fact sheet in the chat as well. And then the last resource that I have is if you want to see what your pattern of alcohol use is and what risks it puts you in for alcohol use disorder, I would like you to visit Rethinking Drinking. And this is another website that the National Institute of Health has. And in this particular site, and I'm going to put that in the chat as well, you will be able to look and see what a calculator that they have to see how much alcohol are in the drinks that you're drinking, how many calories, since I know we're all watching our calories, are in the drinks that we drink, and how much it's costing you every week, every month, and every year. You know, I'm trying to save for retirement. I'm wondering how much I could have now if I didn't give it to the bartenders when we were out. And so I'm hoping that these resources, that this story, that the stories that Sharanda and Terry shared will give you an opportunity to really rethink drinking. And so I thank you for your time, and I will turn it back over to Terry.
Thank you, Shannon. That was very, very helpful. And I even learned something myself. So I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I'm just going to give you some quick strategies to eliminate or reduce alcohol. So, you know, alcohol is in almost every social situation. You know, in fact, if you have an iPhone and you go to type in congratulations, you know how emojis will populate? The champagne bottle populates for congratulations. I can't do it. I can't send a champagne bottle to anybody. So I look for the balloon or the confetti or whatever. But that is just how inbred it is in our society. That alcohol just is surrounded by, and you know, maybe I'm just very hyper aware of it. So you know, if you're getting together with friends, you know, suggest something different other than a restaurant or a bar. Go for a hike. Go to you know, paint pottery, or offer to drive. If you know, I mean, be the designated driver. If you're home, if you're having people in your home, just make it clear that it is going to be alcohol free. Remove all the alcohol from your house. Celebrations. If you are going to be in a situation where there is alcohol, just have a plan. You know, just be true to yourself. Just say, no, I am not drinking. You believe me, you will get a million questions from people. What do you mean you're not drinking? Oh, just have one. It is, you just say, no, thank you. This is, you know, really, it's nobody's business, to be honest with you. Or you could just say, I'm choosing a healthier lifestyle. And, you know, I find that when people do say that, what do you mean you're not drinking? That was me. I was always wanting somebody to drink with me and drink more with me so that I could drink more. So just be clear. Have your mocktail handy, mocktail recipe handy. Just say no, thank you. And again, offer to drive. If you're coming home, I mean, there's, you know, so many times you are, oh God, I've had such a hard day. A glass of wine would feel great. You know what? a glass of chamomile tea will be so much better and you will sleep. Shannon just gave you all of those statistics. Wine will not help you relax. It really, really won't. You might think it does, but it really, really doesn't. So those are just some, quick strategies. And again, like I said, Shannon gave some great resources. I also too am willing to talk to anybody one-on-one if you prefer. You can just reach out to Sharanda or whoever invited you here. You can find me on social media, but I'm more than happy to also offer some help, personally as well. So, Sharanda?
Okay, well, you know what? Thanks for everybody I'm going to stop the recording now. And let me just do that. So all of you who are looking at this on playback, I'm just going to stop the recording.